Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
I'm doing it. I'm in the studio, painting away, doing the thing.
Yes, you are.
I am?
Yes,
Wait a minute. I am what?
you are. The one.
The one? The one what?
Yes, the one true one. The special one.
I am? I just like to paint.
Yes, do it.
I don't like this. I'm out of here.
Wait, come back.
Wow, had to make that a little comedic at the end there. That was getting pretty creepy. But I wanted to use that to kind of bring us into the topic of today, which is specialness. And that's one of my favorite topics. And this episode is going to be riddled with dualities and paradox, as is the case with many deeper truths. So why specialness? Well, I think specialness is something that keeps coming up to me. It's one of my little observations with society as a whole right now. And so many of the problems that we have really stem from specialness, or an idea that you are special or more special than someone else. Like, that's part of the reason why we have so much political unrest, why both of the parties can't get along at all, because you make a divide. We are the ones, we are the special ones, we have it correct, we are justified in our beliefs, therefore you are not. And there's a divide between us. We are more special than you are. A lot of holy wars came from that. We are on the right path. We are the special ones. We must impart our wisdom and religion upon you. And if you don't like it, well, we'll just kill you. I think specialness is something that we have to learn to keep in check as human beings. But also, here comes the first paradox. As an artist, I think it's important to wield specialness at the beginning of your career, almost like an axe or a sword. It can be used to your advantage. I think a lot of artists would never get into this field. A lot of creatives in general, like whether you're a rock star or you're an artist or you're an actor or you're a ballet dancer or whatever, you're not going to get into this field unless you believe on some level that you have some specialness, like you're special, your skill level is special. It doesn't mean that you're a better person than anybody else. It just means that you have maybe shown a higher degree of skill when it comes to something like the arts than other people at your age. It means you're almost like more predisposed, like you are more predisposed to get an illness. You're more predisposed to excel in a certain area. And yes, of course, you have to work at that. And yes, of course, there's so many other variables that go into that. But specialness at the beginning of your art career is important, because otherwise you wouldn't have the gumption to keep going. You wouldn't have like that drive, that fire to be like, well, why am I going to see this through if I'm getting all these negatives, if people are rejecting me, if people are naysayers, if people are saying you can't do this, you got to have something to fall back on. Why would you push forward and push through all that unless you believed that you had some sort of specialness, right? So I think it is very important on some level to believe that you have this specialness in this arena and really follow that specialness and develop your craft. But there comes a point, I believe, in your career where specialness or hanging on to that idea of specialness can end up working to your disadvantage. It can block you from growing. It can block you from growth or from being able to see the specialness in other people. It's like my buddy Eckhart Tolle says when he's talking about specialness. He's like, if someone were to ask me, do I think that I'm special? I would say, not at all. And then he talks about other people and he's like, yes, you are very special. Just no more special than anyone else. So there's my buddy Eckhart, the comedian. No, it's one of those, like I said, dualities, paradox. Yes, we are all very special. And yes, our artistic ability is special. But it seems like once you've gotten on to a certain level and you're on a playing field with other people who are all also functioning at a high capacity like you are, then yes, you are special, but no more special than this other person or this other group of artists that are also displaying their own specialness. It's kind of weird, but it comes to a point where once you've developed this and you've put these things into place and you've gone down the path of being an artist and like there's no turning back, you are running it as a business, you're making money, you're creating, you've gotten that creative flow, you know what your voice is as an artist, you know your style. At that point, it starts to become important to embrace other people. I mean, I think you should be doing that, earlier than this too, but I'm just using this as an example of how if you've used specialness as fire to develop yourself as an artist and your career as an artist, well, at some point you have to let other people in and go, I'm not an island. I can't do everything on my own. I'm not completely self-sustaining. Like you need to be able to go, oh, this person's awesome. I can get inspiration from this person, from their work, or I can go in and we can talk shop and we can develop ideas and bounce ideas off of each other and make each other better with our own individual specialness. We can collaborate on projects together. And, the sky's the limit basically when you start to embrace other artists and other artists' specialness too. And it's also one of those things where it can be the source of competition. And here's another paradox. Competition is very important as an artist, especially at the beginning of your career, because it gives you that drive, right? Like, oh, this person's doing so well. Like, I want to do well too. It's going to make me up my game. I'm going to rise to a new level. But you also get to a point where you start to get cut off. It's like you can't enjoy somebody else's success. You only see them as a threat to you and not as like a rising tides lifts all boats type scenario where, oh, they're successful, I can be successful. Or like there's plenty of success out there for all of us. Or, seeing this person excelling in what they do in their own specialness can be a joyful thing for me. That's where it can really cut you off. Like competition or competitiveness at some level can rear its ugly head and actually be detrimental in your art career. Look, people would not have recognized me 10 years ago, 14 years ago. People who don't know me now, 15 years ago, hell, 18 years ago, 20 years ago, people would not have recognized me. I'm such a different person. I'm not different at my core and my sense of humor and my inspiration and my artistic abilities, but I am completely different when it comes to specialness or that feeling of being the tortured artist or just like hating life because I'm so in a funk because nobody's recognizing me. This was something where it was also a duality in my life. Like I completely used specialness and competitiveness and anger with people to fuel my artistic career at the beginning. And really it was just artistic output. It was me creating. It kept me going. It kept me, getting into some shows, getting my art out there and developing my craft, honing my skill and my voice and my style, for lack of a better word. But it came to a point where I was like shutting myself off from people and possibilities because I was like, no, this should come to me. And a lot of that was just fear too, but this should come to me because like I am special, I have so much to offer with my art and my voice. And why aren't people discovering this? Why don't they see this? Or I'm doing it on some level, but it's not enough. And then it just became like a very dark period in my life and negative reinforcement. And I kind of spiraled downwards. And yes, I didn't have the tools and the ability to really understand what was going on at my core, right? And another, paradox is looking back on this. Would I have had it any other way? Would I have become the same person without this? Probably not. So I'm grateful for it. But what I'm saying is objectively, specialness can only get you so far as an artist and as a mindset. It's like at some point it runs out and you have to realize you are part of a community. You're part of a community of artists. You're part of a global community that recognizes art as being very important and special in our culture, but it's not everything. And there's a lot of people who are contributing to that. And I think it doesn't do you any harm to recognize other people's contribution. As a matter of fact, it just layers it more and more, and it makes it more vibrant and rich as an experience. I also think that this specialness mentality can be very limiting as far as your production as an artist. You can be like, well, I can only create when I am really just tapped in 100% inspired, and it has to be gold. I have to just be, creating magic every time I go into the studio. And you start to get in that mindset of like, it has to be so special or nothing. And the funny thing is once you realize that specialness actually comes from getting in there and being present and allowing something to flow through you, which automatically just assumes that you're not really the special one anyway. You're like a conduit. You're allowing something through your talents and your skills, you're allowing something to flow through you in the creative process, in that flow state. So yes, are you special? Could you do that without having some specialness and having that artistic talent? No. But could you do it on just artistic talent and specialness alone? No. Once again, a paradox. I told you, I warned you at the front about all the paradox and dualities, so I'm delivering on them. So in closing, use specialness as a tool and as a way to really fuel your artistic creativity in your career, your creative output. That's great. Use it. Use it or lose it, baby. But don't let it cut you off from the rest of the world, from your fellow artists and artistic community. Don't let it cut you off from having bigger and better opportunities because you are too stubborn and too self-involved to allow those to happen, right? Be open to things. Once you get to a point where you've established yourself a little bit in your artistic career, start reaching out to other artists, start to elevate other people. And I guarantee you it's going to come back and elevate you because you are special, just no more special than anyone else. But really, if there's one thing that we could all benefit from as a global community right now, that is listening to other people, listening to other perspectives, getting out of the kind of me first mentality and embracing community. So show your specialness and embrace your specialness and embrace everyone else's specialness right along with it. And we will all be better for it. Thanks for listening, everybody. I really appreciate you listening. I appreciate all the support. And as always, reach out to me on social media. Let's continue this conversation.
Because I am the one, and you are also the one. Wait, I don't understand.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.